Hello, fellow East Grand Rapids residents. My name is Brad Hunter. I represent Ward 2 alongside of Chris Wesley here in East Grand Rapids, and just wanted to spend a few moments today talking about the Gaslight Investors project that is still in front of us as a city commission. Many residents have asked as of late, where is the project in terms of the completion and when is this going to be done? So with this video, I just hope to quickly answer some of these questions, hopefully for you over the next few minutes, and share this quick update. Hopefully through this process, a lot of your questions are answered. The Gaslight Investors proposal will be back on the agenda this coming Monday, July 21st. I unfortunately will not be able to make the meeting as my family and I will be traveling. But the agenda item related to the project will be the full reading of the planned unit development ordinance amendment. The current proposal is an amendment of the original plan presented to the East Grand Rapids City Commission in 2004. So yes, the project has seen a number of fits and starts over the years. You can view this amendment and the language that the developers are using to describe the project on the city's website. I encourage you to download it, read through it, and attend the City Commission meeting this coming Monday at 6 p.m. Should you wish to make your thoughts known, you have an opportunity for this item following the discussion by the City Commission. So please engage in this process if you're interested, and we would just love to hear as much input ongoing and continuing about this project so that we can make it a project in its completion that the city will be proud of, and it will be just a great reflection of the other great things going on in our city. So again, this amendment is the language the developers wish to use to describe the project. This is essentially the concept plan. So the concept plan are basically a description of how many buildings there are, where they're going to be placed, and the size of the buildings. A lot of the mobility conversations have also been ongoing in terms of how visitors and residents will be able to safely navigate the streets and roadways within the development. So from the 21st, we'll hear a reading of the concept plan and then likely follow that up with a vote on August 4th to approve the concept plan. From there, the developer will work with the city to go into finer detail via the myriad of input that we've had on this project. And we will require a number of conditions of approval that will have to be met prior to the approval of the final site plan. So within the concept plan, we will undertake a process that will attach conditions to approval that, if not met, final site plan approval will not occur. We encourage you again to stay involved in this process, make your thoughts and perspectives known by emailing or calling your commissioner. So on to the concerns that a lot of you have brought to me and that we've probably discussed over the past year since this has been proposed. It was proposed back in May of 2024. So a lot of these have either originated or at least kind of been supported by conversations that I've had with residents. And let me say, as a 20-year resident of East Grand Rapids, I want to see this through. I want to see it get completed, and we all want something built. I have felt, though, as all my commissioners have, I guess just interpreting data in different ways, a difference in the type of concern and in the level of concern. So all of us coming from unique perspectives, we apply our filters and analyses in different ways, but I think the same can be said for everyone involved in this, from city leadership to the commission and you as residents. We will come together to again make sure that what gets built is a great representation of our city and something we can all be be very pleased with at the finality of this process. So in a subsequent video, perhaps, it's all kind of too much to package into one. I want to talk about the size and scope and the aesthetic. So size and scope, traffic and parking primarily, and then the aesthetic, how this project fits in with the existing character of the East Grand Rapids community. But today, if I could just quickly here focus on process and then the financing, as both of these, all four of them are really all very important, but let's just start with process. Process, again, as I said a minute ago, we are in the concept planning phase. How many buildings, what size, and where they go. We will move from that to final site plan approval, but in between is the reconciling of the conditions that we attach to a concept plan. The current commission, here's where we differ, is very confident in the fact that if we find a threshold violation of what we say is important to us in terms of a traffic number, because of a study we did between concept planning and final site plan approval, we have the ability, even though we would have approved the concept plan, to go back and change it because, again, something that we found via a study was shown to violate what we as a city want. I'm a little dubious of this part of the process, and here's why. Again, this is the instruction that I've received, that is how the process works as a commissioner. So I'm just continuing to ask these questions and gather information. But my thought is that if we're approving, in the case, let's say, of Building C, 4 stories and 12,430 square feet, concept planning data right in the report of commercial and residential space within this one building, just because something was found to violate that with one of the conditions, how do we ask the developer to go back and change it if we've approved this very specific number? And how would a 3 to 4 week study, whether it's done before approval of concept plan or after, actually change the timeline in terms of a shovel ready date for the developer? So again, as your city commissioner, I've tried to educate myself on this and continue to ask questions, and I guess I'm still at a point where I'm watching this process closely to make sure your resident voices are being upheld in this conversation, and that we're not agreeing to something that we can't go back and change. So wrapping up here on the financing part of this project, as many of you may know, the developer asked us to formulate a brownfield authority. We gave the city permission, as your city commission, we gave the city permission to create a brownfield authority and fill that authority with board members from the area that would make decisions on how to best negotiate the terms of this financing with the developer. We don't yet have a board set up, and therefore we don't have an official ask from the developer. However, we do have an unofficial ask, which has basically been discussed numerous times, too numerous to count really, and that is that 10% of the units would be set aside as affordable, and affordable is being defined as 120% of Kent County's AMI. Let's break down those numbers quickly. Kent County's AMI is $75,000 per year, and you add a multiple of 120 to that, you get $95,000 per year, roughly. So those 10% of units, we'll call it 15 because there's 149 units being built. Those 15 units cannot be rented for more than $95,000, meaning if you make $95,001, you'd be excluded from getting affordability rate on your rent within these 15 units. The other 90% of the units, or 135, are going to be rented at market rates that have no bearing on any of this formula whatsoever. So again, if you make $94,999, please don't stick to me on those numbers, as they are estimates used for the purposes of this video. You would be in the pool to be able to be selected for these 15 units. Let's talk about the affordability crisis as it pertains to homes today. East Grand Rapids is ground zero for the affordability crisis in Western Michigan, but we're no different than any other community statewide, regionally, or nationwide in our country today. In every respective area, there is a housing affordability crisis. We have something that is in front of us that requires a lot of input and a lot of thoughtful analysis before moving forward, as it will dictate a large part of what we as a community, and I'm using a lot of input that I've gained and gathered over the past year from my residents. Whatever we decide on this as a community will illustrate a lot of our beliefs as to how we as a municipality, so you as residents through your locally elected commissioners, can be a tool societally to go out and try to solve these complex problems. We have to back up and say, why are we offering these tax incentives in the first place? Because the inflation that we've seen on costs, both in labor and materials, over the past really 15 years, but accelerated under the COVID response of 2020, increased inflation across the board, and building costs for the developer, for every developer, has gone up significantly. So it'll reduce the overall cost to maintain, build and maintain this project, and this is in the form of a property tax incentive or abatement. The property taxes right now will not be paid on this project for a period of 20 years and right around a $30 million value. Sidebar, the developer, if they were forced to or chose to sell the property, would be able to include this on a condition of sale, and the new owner would be able to continue to own it as well, with those same incentives. But if we're agreeing to offset taxes for that purpose, the big question is, quite honestly, I've heard from maybe 100 residents, what are we getting in return? The answer that I've been given has been that we're getting the affordable units in return. We're getting the 15 units. So that is our in this business equation, in this business negotiation, that is our concert venue, soccer stadium that you see happening in downtown Grand Rapids. We could also negotiate for things like green space, or as a few residents have told me over the past year, what about something for children to draw them, or teens, into the development? Basically, if the last point under the tax incentives are this, that if we're agreeing to build this development and we're going to receive those 15 units to try to help solve part of the housing crisis, but not receiving anything in return in terms of property taxes for that time period, what impact will those 500 or so new residents have on our infrastructure, such that it may cause a burden on things like our parks and recreation system, our streets and roads, or more importantly, our public safety, to the extent that the current tax payment of the existing taxpayers in the community might not be enough to provide the same level of service that we always have. You hear this concern with really any tax incentive or tax decrease that gets passed. It's always, how is that burden going to be offset? And right now, again, using the instruction from city leadership has been there won't be any additional tax necessary, because there won't be actually any additional burden placed on the infrastructure. I am, as many residents are, concerned about this. We look to our city leadership to supply us with data and information that we can then go to use our own analysis to provide our own conclusions. And at this point in time, we still struggle with that explanation, and we look to just hope to continue to receive additional information that would help this process along in terms of making it something agreeable for the entire city. Quickly, in closing, I've had these conversations with my city leadership and fellow commissioners over the past year, and I am hoping just with this video to continue to educate and bring along residents who may not have been able to engage as much in this process over the past year. I hope you can tell from the tone of this video that we are all working together on your behalf, taking your concerns into account, and hoping to have a project we can all be proud of. So if this is your first city commission meeting that you'll be attending on Monday, I apologize again, I can't shake your hand and be there, but I commend you for taking part in your local city government. And please be sure to stay tuned for additional videos. You may like or dislike this video, but just please leave a comment, and I appreciate your engagement in our community. Go East.